Hafa Adai and welcome everyone to the judiciary. I'd first like to acknowledge the presence of our Chief Justice Robert Torres, Justice Philip Carbolito. We do have representatives from the legislature, from the Speaker's office. We have Lincoln Badasky, JP Manuel from Senator Parkinson, and from the Lieutenant Governor's office, we have Kaylin Meno and Peter Cruz. I see we have some judiciary staff and attorneys, and I'd like to also welcome the Administrator of the Courts, Danielle Rossetti, and our Deputy Administrator of the Courts, Sophia Diaz. I'll introduce the members of our commission a little bit later, but I'd like to welcome everyone to the status report to the legislature. We do have our Chairman, Magistrate Judge Jonathan R. Kwan, joining us on Zoom. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here for this rescheduled status presentation as he had prior travel obligations, but he is here by Zoom and he will have some closing remarks at the end of my presentation today. So could we distribute the status report booklet, please? Okay. Does it sound better?
Yes.
Okay. This is the Commission's first presentation to the legislature since our initial meeting in January 2023, and I'm very happy to present the current status of the Commission's progress. We've been at this project for a year and a half now, and I think we found what we expected. It has been an arduous task reviewing hundreds of sections of criminal laws in our code. Could I have the next slide, please? So here's an overview of our presentation today. We'll take this opportunity to refresh the legislature of the Commission's creation. We'll reintroduce our members to you. We will cover the work of the Commission and explain our mandates, work processes, to include work sessions and plenary meetings, and we'll provide the status of our review so far. Also, given the challenges we have faced, we'll go over what we can expect moving forward. Next slide, please. On the creation of the Commission. The Guam Criminal Law and Procedure Review Commission was created by our enabling law, Public Law 36119, on November 9, 2022. The key purpose and intent of this law, as you see here, it is the intent of this legislation to create a commission composed of key stakeholders and experts to review the laws that address the criminal procedures and criminal laws of Guam and to recommend enactments, amendments, and repeals to legislature in Guam for action. Essentially, our enabling law creates a working commission of Guam criminal law subject matter experts. Our enabling law was sponsored by Senator Frank Blas and Joe San Augustin and co-sponsored by Speaker Therese Terlahi, Vice Speaker Tina Munoz Barnes, and Senators Joanne Brown, Tolo Taitaqui, Sabina Perez, former Senators Clint Rogel and Mary Torres. We thank the legislature for their confidence in the judiciary to administer the commission. This public law is included as an attachment to the report that's just been handed to you. Next slide, please. So on our statutory mandates, our commission was created to conduct the first comprehensive and systematic review of Guam's criminal codes since the reenactment by the 13th Guam legislature in 1976, nearly 50 years ago. Importantly, this law specifically requires the commission to prioritize the review of Title IX, which is our criminal and correctional code. The commission consists of 15 voting members, 3 members appointed by the governor, 3 by the speaker, and 3 by the chief justice. We have 2 members appointed by the Guam Bar Association president. In addition to our attorney members, we have full-time and retired judicial officers, directors of government criminal justice and law enforcement agencies, and private individuals from community-based and public interest organizations relating to the criminal justice system. The commission is assisted by a number of volunteer ex officio non-voting members to help review Guam's criminal laws. This composition was intentional to ensure a balanced review of the criminal laws by the major stakeholders. As stated before, the commission is to review amendments, repeals. The commission is to recommend amendments, repeals, and enactments. We will also review for language, consistent definitions and elements to reduce overlaps and gaps, remove archaic laws, organize sections and subsections in logical order, and remove unconstitutional or inorganic laws. Our Enabling Act provides a timeline of 24 months from the initial plenary meeting to complete our review and submit comprehensive criminal code reform recommendations to the legislature. The difficulty in meeting this timeline is discussed in this report. The commission exists as a division of the judiciary and receives all its administrative support, including office equipment, office space, software, and Westlaw licenses, even web page support, directly from the judiciary at no additional cost to the commission. We are essentially a two-person office, recording and reporting the work of the commission members, providing research assistance to members, and shepherding meetings of the commission. I'd like to recognize my coworker, Renee Meno, the former clerk of the legislature, for her good work with the commission. Toward the end of 2022, Magistrate Judge Jonathan Kwan was appointed the chair of the commission, and I was appointed executive director by then Chief Justice Carboleto, and our leadership of the commission has continued under Chief Justice Torres. The commission formally began operations with its initial plenary meeting held right here in this courtroom on January 13, 2023, almost exactly a year and a half ago. Next slide, please. On our subcommissions, under Public Law 36119, Chairman Kwan created 4 subcommissions to focus on different areas of law and named a chairperson to each subcommission. The 4 subcommissions are the Subcommission on Crimes Against Persons, which is chaired by Attorney Joseph McDonald, the Subcommission on Crimes Relating to Property, which is chaired by Attorney Phil Tydinko, the Subcommission on Drugs and Other Criminal Offenses, which is chaired by Judge Maria Senzon, and the Subcommission on Criminal Procedure, which is chaired by retired Judge Anita Sokola. Members of each subcommission were selected based on their experience and practice in criminal law. Each subcommission is composed of members designated by different statutory appointing authorities, and each subcommission has members from the prosecution and defense bars. At the direction of their chairpersons, each subcommission is responsible for reviewing their assigned criminal code chapters and presenting any recommendations to the entire commission at public plenary meetings for approval. Since the initial plenary meeting, and to the best of their ability, subcommissions have been meeting in working sessions to review and research criminal statutes, to discuss whether revisions are appropriate, and to decide the recommendations to introduce to the plenary commission for approval. Next slide, please. The appointed voting members and volunteer ex officio non-voting members are listed under their respective subcommissions in this slide and provided to you in the status report. I'd like to recognize each of them by name, and if I call your name, please raise your hand or stand up to be recognized. We have Jonathan Kwan, Magistrate Judge Jonathan Kwan, our chairman, appointed by the Chief Justice, who has joined us by Zoom. Attorney Joseph McDonald, under the Subcommission on Crimes Against Person, who is a chair, appointed by the Guam Bar Association president. Attorney Christine Santos Tenorio, appointed by the Speaker. Public Defender Service Corporation Executive Director Stephen Hattori, who is a statutory member, who is designated his Deputy Director John Morrison. We have Guam Police Department Chief Stephen Ignacio, a statutory member who is designated Lieutenant Ron Titano, and Attorney Shawnee Brown is a volunteer ex officio non-voting member, and as we know, Sean is a magistrate judge nominee. Under the Subcommission on Crimes Relating to Property, we have Attorney Phil Tydinko, who's the chair. He was appointed by the Speaker. Mr. Monty McDowell of Advanced Management Incorporated, appointed by the Chief Justice. Attorney F. Randall Cunliffe, appointed by the Chief Justice. And Attorney William Bucky Brennan, appointed by the Guam Bar Association president. That's Bucky right there. Under the Subcommission on Drugs and Other Criminal Offenses, it is chaired by Judge Maria Senzon, who was appointed by the governor. Attorney Mike Phillips, appointed by the Speaker. DOC Director Fred Berdalio, who is a statutory member and who has designated Major Anton Uggen to the commission. We have as an ex officio statutory member, our compiler of laws, Geraldine Cepeda. We also have Ms. Valerie Rages, who is with the Lighthouse Recovery Center, appointed by the governor. We have 2 volunteer ex officio non-voting members, retired Judge Elizabeth Barrett Anderson, and Attorney Kat Seguenza. And finally, under the Subcommission on Criminal Procedure, it is chaired by retired Judge Anita Sokola, appointed by the Governor. Attorney General Douglas Moylan, a statutory member who has designated Deputy Attorney General Nathan Tennyson to the Commission, myself, Serge Kenga, statutory ex officio, and two volunteer ex officio non-voting members, Attorney Brian Eggleston of the Public Defenders and Attorney Lenny Rapadas of the Alternate Public Defenders. Nearly all of our members, the stakeholders and experts envisioned within the stated intent of our enabling law, have very extensive experience in the practice of criminal law. We have former AGs and chief prosecutors, very seasoned and renowned criminal defense attorneys, judges and former judges who have presided over thousands of criminal proceedings, and the directors of Guam's major law enforcement agencies. We also have upstanding members from the community. Our members have spent many hours of personal time reviewing criminal laws. The chairman and I sincerely thank each of you for your commitment. I'd like to recognize Justice Merriman, who's just joined us. Thank you, Your Honor. Next slide, please. Before moving on to the actual work of the Commission, I'd like to point out the volume of chapters and sections of law the Commission must review. Title IX consists of 46 chapters and over 800 sections. Title VIII consists of 35 chapters and over 400 sections, and there are over 500 sections of law outside of Title VIII and Title IX that reference a misdemeanor or felony offense. There are hundreds of sections that must be individually reviewed, and there is a lot to cover. Next slide, please. So moving on to the work of the Commission, as stated before, our enabling legislation intends that this is a working commission. All the work is done by our members and ex officio members. Guam's criminal codes are based primarily on the Model Penal Code. Members base their review on other MPC jurisdictions, particularly those cited in the source comments of the Guam statutes. In addition, the review may be based on US jurisdictions with recently reformed or revised criminal codes such as Hawaii and the District of Columbia. Review is often based on members' own professional experiences with specific criminal laws in their practice. Review is detailed and time-consuming. Our review is generally done in a two-phase process. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll speak up. Our review is generally done in a two-phase process. In phase one, subcommissions present initial recommendations to the plenary commission for discussion and approval. Recommendations approved in phase one are moved to phase two final review, which may include more detailed scrutiny by the subcommission or by any other member of the commission. Any phase two recommendations are to be presented to the plenary commission for approval. Approved recommendations in phase two will go into the final report to the legislature. On our subcommission working sessions, review by subcommissions is done at working sessions scheduled by their chairpersons. Working sessions may be in person, virtual, or both. Working sessions may also be done by correspondence in the exchange of draft comments by email or other electronic means. At these working sessions, the subcommission members review and deliberate chapters and sections and decide whether to recommend changes to those laws. Since the start of operations in January of 2023, the subcommissions have conducted dozens of working sessions. Our plenary meetings. Our enabling law requires that the commission must hold a plenary meeting once every 6 months. However, since starting a year and a half ago, we have held a total of 9 plenary meetings, 6 in 2023 and 3 already in 2024, and we will likely hold 3 more plenary meetings before the end of this year. So the commission has held plenary meetings almost every other month except after Typhoon Mawar to push our review of Guam's criminal laws as expeditiously as possible. In the 9 plenary meetings held so far, the commission has always met its quorum requirement, which shows that our members are participating and working. All plenary meetings are publicly noticed under the open government law and streamed live on the judiciary's YouTube channel. All the commission's work to date is posted on our webpage. The commission believes it is in the public interest for all our work to be available to the public to review. All subcommission presentations at any plenary meeting of the commission are included in the meeting packets posted on the commission webpage. In addition, YouTube video links and the approved minutes of each plenary meeting are posted on the webpage. All quarterly reports through the first quarter of 2024 are posted on the webpage, and this report will also be posted. On our review status, the report handed to you has 3 attachments to show the status of chapters and sections reviewed so far and the recommendations approved by the commission today. The recommendations may be to amend or repeal laws or to repeal and reenact laws. We have also recommended the enactment of new laws. Next slide, please. This slide shows a sample page of the attachment This slide shows a sample page of the table in attachment 2, which provides a chapter level status of laws reviewed by the commission and acted on by the plenary commission. It identifies the chapters that have been presented and complete, or chapters presented and tabled for further discussion, and chapters that have not yet been presented. So as you see here, as an example, we've got chapter 1, preliminary provisions and definitions, which was covered by the subcommission on criminal procedure, presented and complete. We have chapter 7, exemptions and defenses, also covered by the subcommission on criminal procedure, which was presented but tabled for further discussion by the subcommission or any other member of the commission. We have chapter 25, sexual offenses, which is assigned to the subcommission on crimes against persons. That chapter has not yet been presented to the commission. The next slide, please. This slide shows a page from attachment 3, which provides a detailed section level status of the laws reviewed by the subcommission and acted on by the plenary commission. This slide shows 9 GCA sections 1.10 to 1.50 and recommendations made by the commission to amend, repeal, and reenact, or not to change the section. So for example, chapter 1, section 1.10, short title, criminal and correctional code, we are going to amend that section, as you'll see in the next slide. We also have an example here, section 1.12, severability. That's going to be repealed and reenacted, and as you'll see in the next slide, consolidated into a new section. Next slide, please. So the next 2 slides show sample pages from attachment 4, which provides the actual recommendations approved by the plenary commission for moving to the final review and approval phase. This slide shows black line edits to 9 GCA sections 1.10 and 1.12 with commission comments explaining the recommendations. So as you see in section 1.10, we are amending this to clarify that the code actually means Title 9 of the Guam Code annotated, and we are making the title more concise and definitive and calling it now, recommending to call it now the Guam Criminal Code. Section 1.12 is being repealed and reenacted as a new section 1.12, which will be entitled Rules of Construction, with severability included as a subsection. Under this new section 1.12, all the rules of construction from this chapter will be consolidated under it. Next slide, please. So this slide shows a new proposed law, 9 GCA section 9106, correctional medical clinics. This section was proposed by the Subcommission on Drugs and Other Criminal Offenses when it was chaired by retired Judge Elizabeth Barrett Anderson. The comment explains the long history behind this proposed law, which includes a federal lawsuit over conditions at the prison and a consent decree extending the better part of 2 decades, and Judge Barrett Anderson's two terms as our Attorney General. The proposed statute will codify and make permanent the clinics currently at DOC, which are mandated by Executive Order 2020-21. Next slide, please. The status of review of Guam's criminal laws is summarized in this slide as follows. Under Title IX, 18 chapters have been presented and approved through Phase 1. 8 chapters have been presented and tabled for further discussion. 20 chapters are pending subcommission review and presentation. Under Title VIII, the Criminal Procedure Code, the Subcommission on Criminal Procedure under Judge Sokola has initially reviewed all 35 chapters within this title, and our review is pending presentation to the Plenary Commission. However, the subcommission has tabled its review of Title VIII to focus on Title IX chapters assigned by the chairman, which take priority under our enabling law. The other criminal laws outside of Title VIII and IX, they are pending review and presentation. I'll note that the Subcommission on Crimes Relating to Property has begun reviewing 10 Guam Code Annotated Chapter 6 firearms, and the recommendations are included in the status report. The status report, along with posted meeting information and quarterly reports, show that subcommissions have been working diligently and progress has been steadfast to the best of members' abilities. However, the difficulties faced by the Commission in standing up a comprehensive statutory review process for the first time in nearly half a century have been daunting. While borrowing from the methods of other jurisdictions that have recently revised their codes, the Commission has had to break new ground and formulate through trial and error the most efficient processes for its own review of Guam's criminal laws. It should be noted that nearly all members and ex-officio members, if you've seen, are attorneys in the private and government sectors. Members also include 2 full-time judicial officers with very large caseloads. Our community-based members, who are huge supporters of our treatment courts, are busy running businesses or supporting substance abuse treatment. The ability of our members to meet in working sessions is greatly affected by their heavy workloads. And our attorneys and judge members' client and litigation obligations are governed by strict legal and ethical responsibilities. As mentioned before, Super Typhoon Mawar significantly hampered members' ability to review criminal statutes for months. Under our enabling law, the Commission is required to submit a final report on its comprehensive criminal code reform recommendations within 24 months of its initial meeting. That period will end on January 13, 2025. For the reasons just stated, we anticipate that the Commission will not be able to complete its full review of all the criminal laws in the Guam Code Annotated by that date. To be frank, we simply need more time. Next slide, please. Moving forward, and in order to continue the work of the Commission, the Judiciary of Guam's fiscal year 2025 budget request includes a status quo appropriation for the Commission in the amount of $378,845 and a request to amend Public Law 36-119 to provide an additional 24 months to complete our review and to submit a final report. The additional time should be sufficient to conduct a complete review of Guam's criminal laws. I think that I speak for all our members that we aren't satisfied with our progress. We wish we were further along. However, the issues that have come up have simply made it difficult for members to review the criminal laws when faced with more immediate obligations. But in spite of these difficulties, we are excited, committed, and motivated to continue reviewing Guam's criminal laws, and we ask for your continued support. At this time, I'd like to ask any of our Commission members if they would like to say a few words. On your work? Are there any questions from justices? Anybody? Oh, Monty.
Yes, I'm the non-attorney here. I'm a degreed engineer. I have to say that it's been a real honor that the justices have asked me to be on one of these committees, and it's really enlightening that these people. My chairperson is Phil Tydinkle, attorney Phil Tydinkle, and members Bucky Brennan and Randy Cunliffe, who just collectively, they must have 1,000 years of experience. They just have seen everything and done everything. So I think they just put the repair, so to speak, or the rewrite or the review and the right thing. They put the right team together here. And they're not just looking at the Guam law, but they review the laws across the nation to see what other jurisdictions have. I'm just amazed at how intelligent and how meticulous they have been in this process. Because all I've seen in all the years that laws have been made is it just at the end of the law, it seems to be, despite whatever's been passed before, whatever laws on the books, this law, this bill that's passed, and if it gets signed into law, this will be it. Well, if you're not going to recognize any of the past, why don't you just get rid of them? Well, this is now seems to be, from a layman's standpoint, the turning point where, yeah, we're going to get rid of some of this. We're going to rewrite some of it. But I have a slight fear factor. And I'm probably speaking well out of turn, but that's okay because I'm not one of these legal eagle guys. Is this was put into effect by the Guam legislature to have this occur? God bless them for doing that. We have tried several times now to have this presentation to the Guam legislature, and so this was been scheduled for several weeks, and I'm looking out. And as of yesterday, I received a notice that they were going in session at 2:00, and why are they going in session at 2:00 when they are scheduled for a review right here? So my fear is the seriousness that they have collectively to the process that we're spending thousands of hours grueling going through to do all this work. And in the end, when it finally gets in front of them, do they pass it and does all our work come to fruition and it's accepted? If it's not, then why did we do it? Again, just Monty speaking. So thank you.
Thank you, Monty. Anyone else? Yes, Ryan.
Sarah, timeline to proposing to the legislature. Because you outlined towards the end what is needed to continue the work of the commission, additional appropriation, additional 2 years. And, Monty has just gave us a quick description of all the work that has gone in, and we can see that. And I think we all very clearly understand this mammoth undertaking in terms of updating our criminal correctional code and our criminal procedure code. And but it appears to me that about 5 months remains before this report is going to be submitted. And I think there should be some thinking about submitting a plan so that the legislature doesn't allow this to lapse, and there's continuity in terms of the work of the commission and the energy and of the commission members who are devoting all their volunteer time, that they're not discouraged if there is a lapse. If there's a lapse in terms of continuing the work of the commission. I just think that there should be some plan in reference to submitting well before the time period expires, what is needed to continue the work of the commission. And this is excellent. You have an update so they can say, well, what have you been doing the last 2 years? Well, we could see that there's been a substantial progress in updating the criminal correction procedure code. That's just my thinking.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I agree. I think we've been consistent on reporting what the Plenary Commission has approved in our quarterly reports, which are required under our enabling law. They're pretty complete, and the report that we handed out today summarizes everything and consolidates everything to date. we are, the plan that we have, if we don't get the 2-year extension, if we don't get the appropriation, is to complete the report, hopefully through Title IX, the Criminal and Correctional Code. If we get that done by January 13, 2025, and we can't continue after that, then at least that'll be, I would consider a partial success, considering how big the code is, how many sections, and the short time that we've had to review. And then looking at the other jurisdictions, how long it's taken them to review their codes after having sat for decades. And it's really not something that can be done in a couple of years. And maybe when we started the project and we thought, okay, 2 years might be sufficient time to get through everything. But we found through our own experiences and delays that most of them are not within our control, that when you have a working commission like ours, it's really is difficult for the members to find the time. We modeled the commission after the Hawaii Penal Code Reform Commission, and they seem to be working quickly, or they are able to work quickly. They have a large commission as well, but they review and revise their code almost every 10 years. So they're a lot more caught up than we've ever been. The DC Code Reform Commission, they've been working, it took them a long time, but their code actually dates back to 1900. So it probably was over 100 years since that, any undertaking of any kind in DC, but they have their own difficulties, and they've gone through 1 or 2 different commissions and a number of years to get to the point where they're at now. And they still don't actually have an approved criminal code because of the DC politics. So we want to try to avoid that and get our recommendations before the legislature as we've passed them and approved them at our plenary commission. Yes.
Hi, I'm here representing the Speaker's office. My initial question was, I was going to ask how other jurisdictions, the one that you looked at for modeling this commission, take for the review, but I think you already answered that in your previous answer.
Right.
So I was wondering, since you're coming to the legislature to ask for an additional 2 years and then an additional appropriation, did the commission have any other additional recommendations to add to the commission or change to the current commission rules that may help you speed up the process of review? Because you mentioned that it was taking longer than you initially anticipated when the law was created.
So we are working through those issues, and what we hope to do to improve the process is get more staff on board. And I think with the budget that we potentially could be given, we would be able to hire an attorney on staff, 1, perhaps 2 attorneys, to facilitate the review of criminal laws. And they would basically be doing what I'm doing, the only attorney on the commission full-time. And all my days are spent reviewing the laws that have been assigned to the subcommission that I'm on. And I use those recommendations and discuss them with my subcommission and get them before the commission every other month or so. So if we got more of that support, I think that that would expedite our review. But again, these are things that we've learned along the way. We did contract with a paralegal type person, and we were hoping that person would be able to get requests from the subcommissions on any legal research that they wanted done. But that didn't pan out as successfully as we wanted. The subcommissions, they basically are free to review their assigned chapters the best way that they can, following the process that Chairman Kwan outlined at the beginning. So I think, yes, go ahead.
For the chapters that were tabled or specific sections, are those reasons for tabling included within the report, or were there just various reasons why they were tabled?
Right, they're unfinished, so they haven't been presented or made part of the report. The recommendations there are still being discussed and debated. Sometimes the debates are quite rigorous when we have our plenary commissions. A particular section of criminal law might generate a lot of good discussion and debate among our members based on their own personal experience with them. And so when that happens, we agree to table the particular section, and the subcommission that is responsible for the primary review of that section will invite the attorney or member of the commission who had questions on it to join them at a working session so that they can further discuss what's been brought up and come to a resolution on the issues.
If I may, Mr. Executive Director, can you hear me?
Can you speak up a little bit, Jonathan?
Can you hear me? Is it clear? Is it better? How about now?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so in reference to that question, just to explain some of the process, we attempted to balance each subcommission with an equal number of defense counsels and former prosecutors. That was done by intention so that it would stimulate discussion on both sides of the aisle in reference to any particular section that was being reviewed. And as the executive director pointed out, it has generated significant discussion and debate, as we wanted it to, in the subcommissions. Once they have decided on an action, an amendment or repeal, then they forward it to the plenary commission for approval or action. At the plenary meetings, we will get subsequent debate from other members who are not in that particular subcommission. We welcome that discussion, we welcome that debate, and we let the assigned subcommission answer any questions. If the assigned subcommission feels that they want to go back and rework it or rethink it based on what was brought up in the plenary commission meeting, then we'll table it. Or if a member who is not in that subcommission at the plenary meeting wishes it to be tabled to have further time to research, we will table it. So as the executive director indicated, there are several reasons why certain statutory sections would be tabled going forward. I hope that helps.
If there's nothing else, before I turn it over to the chairman, I'm sorry, we have a JP.
Yes.
I was just thinking about your request for an additional 24 months, and so that would make it due January 13th or around there, 2027.
Correct.
Which would be the 39th Guam legislature. So who knows who will be in charge then? What staff will be there then? I know there's a lot of turnover at the legislature. I'll apologize for some of the senators not being here, and I will emphasize to them the importance of this commission. I remember it being passed in the 36th legislature, and something that we have been eagerly awaiting in the legislature. I would also say that once it is introduced, it will be a long process for hearings. We'll probably have quite a few hearings because it's going to be a very comprehensive, very long bill, and we'd have to take it section by section. If it's introduced at the beginning of the term, it may take the entire term to go through several hearings. So in addition to the 24 months, of extension, there may be another 24 months where we would need the commission members to come and explain some of their reasoning behind certain changes. So that's probably another thing to think about.
Justice Carlino?
Number one, that's why I propose that this be done ahead of time in terms of the additional appropriation, the time period, because it is a lot of the current members of the legislature that supported this bill and recognized the undertaking and the effort. So you don't have to re-educate them in reference to the importance of trying to continue the work of the commission and not introduce a bill making this request at the next legislature. The second point is that when the report is done, there's going to be a recommendation of the commission. I don't anticipate that there is going to be an undertaking to review word by word the work of the commission. That's not the expertise, really, I think, of the legislature. I think there are going to be some provisions that may be more controversial that require a review and discussion. But overall, I think that the legislature has delegated to this group of experts, so to speak, despite what Monty says, in reference to reviewing this code. And I would think that they would have some confidence in the work, especially if they appreciate the undertaking that has gone into coming up with this work product. So I don't think it's going to take another 2 to 4 years from the time the report is submitted. And now they could very well decide to do it in different sections but I think it will go a little faster than 2 to 4 years to adopt the work of the commission.
Yeah, that's my hope as well.
And I think we have confidence in the legislature that when they hear from the commission on the delivery of their report, and I expect that when the final recommendation is done, that the members will be there en masse and to talk about the work that they've done over the period of time and the investment and the hours that they'll respect, especially when you look at the members and the legislature themselves had an active role in the appointment of some of the members. So I think that they can take confidence in the work that they're doing and the professionalism of the entire group.
I think that's absolutely right, Chief Justice. Well, if there's nothing else, then
I do, before we conclude, I do want to acknowledge, obviously, the hard work of all of the volunteer commission members. I mean, it's taken a lot of hours, I know, even to get to the point that we've gotten, and their dedication to ensure that our code gets updated, and there's a lot of work still to be done, but you see the commitment and the years of experience from those that are very active, well-seasoned, Judge Sokola, Judge Barrett Anderson, Randy Cunliffe, for example, and then of course, even the lay members as well. And then you've got, some very bright younger minds who want to contribute and are actively, and we've gotten good feedback from those who have. We recognize that there might not be some members who are as active as others, and we may want to reevaluate some of the members who perhaps aren't putting in the effort as well as others and their continued role. But I do want to thank all of you for the work that you're putting in. It doesn't go unappreciated. We get the reports that are diligently sent out on the work of the commission, and we see how much effort that you've put in. And while you're not a paid commission, as other jurisdictions have members and staff who are paid, and we have a very small staff, and And the judiciary is committed to this process because we continue to support the commission in various ways, financially and other ways beyond what the budget provides. And we're committed to doing that because we know how important is the work that you do and the importance of getting a revamp of our entire criminal code and criminal procedure code. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, CJ Torres. Chairman Kwan, if you want to conclude our presentation today.
Thank you. Once again, I apologize for not being present today in person. This family travel was scheduled months ago and could not be moved. In closing, the professionals that are serving on this commission have been able to get through about 2/3 of the criminal code, Title IX, despite the loss of about 4 months due to Typhoon Mawar. I believe at the rate we have been working, by our statutory end date, January 2025, we will have completed about 75 to 80% of Title IX's review, given the pace we're taking now. In their discussions and arguments at the subcommission meetings, the members and ex officio members have demonstrated passion, legal and professional expertise, and a dedication to this island and to the rule of law. And I want to thank each of them for what they have done. In comparison, I'd like to point out that it has taken other jurisdictions with some memberships of 50 or more members, and with some with fully paid full-time staff of 5 professionals, 5 or 7 years or more to get through their criminal codes. The appointed members and 5 ex officio members have done all of this as a matter of service for the betterment of our island and the laws that will govern our people for the decades to come. I would humbly ask you to allow them the time and resources to finish the job. To the Executive Director, Mr. Kenga, the Compiler of Laws, Ms. Cepeda, and to Renee Meno, all that we have done thus far could not have been done without you, your technical support, your expertise, and your work. And I want to thank you. And to Chief Justice Torres and former Chief Justice Carbolito, thank you for your continued administrative support, office space, office equipment, software, Westlaw licenses, online support, and guidance that you have provided from the judiciary to us at no cost to the commission. I ask all the parties that the commission be provided the opportunity to finish the task that has been started. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, everyone, for coming.
Thanks.